Hi everyone, it's John from WoTUP. Welcome back to another video. Now, if I seem a little bit extra excited today, it's because, well, this is probably the biggest video I have ever recorded for the channel, and it may very well be the biggest video I ever will record. And I had a lot of fun researching this and going over it the last little bit. So essentially what had happened is I was put in contact with an extra who was on set during the filming of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time in the Czech Republic. Now, they were on set for a number of different episodes, and they got to see the production firsthand. Now, this person's credentials check out, and they were actually there, and they were actually on set filming. They agreed to do an interview with me. Now, this interview wasn't going to be audio or video. It was via text only, basically because they wanted to make sure that they said exactly what they wanted to say due to NDAs. Now, as most of you are aware, all of Amazon Prime's production members had to sign an NDA when they worked on the show, whether they were cast, whether they were crew, an extra, it doesn't matter. So there's a lot of things that this person could not talk about, and they wanted to make sure that they answer the questions in such a way that it didn't violate their NDA or hurt the production in any way, which I fully agreed with. Now, they were able to answer about 15 questions I had for them, which was absolutely amazing, and they gave me some other little tidbits, and that's what I plan on going through in this video. So basically what it is I'm going to do this like my Q&A that Rafe Judkins had or Daniel Henney, only this time I actually conducted the interview myself, which is pretty cool, at least so far I think anyway. So, before we get into the actual video, spoiler warning, we are talking about certain elements from the production of The Wheel of Time for the first season. So if you haven't read at least The Eye of the World, be forewarned, there may be small things that might spoil little bits of the book for you, but we won't spoil any big plot arcs. Alright, let's get on to the video. Alright, so I want to start out by reading a little blurb they gave me about the main cast on the set. Zoe is an amazing nae'b, Daniel is a perfectly stoic Lon, Priyanka is beautiful and I love how much she is Alana on set, Rosamund is a serene and steady Moraine, Emmanuel is hilarious and he is a wonderful warder, he and Taylor have great chemistry with each other and Priyanka. Kate exudes Leandrin but is so nice in person, haha. Alvaro is commanding and yet as saddening as Logain is in the first book. Yosha, Barney and Marcus are our Two Rivers boys. I also saw Peter and Claire but was not too familiar with what type of role the team is going for. That reads 100% like a fan wrote it, and I couldn't have been happier with that response. That was just absolutely amazing, and it made me very excited. I mean, I already was happy with all the castings and the people they did cast, but this makes me super happy that someone on set who's a fan, seen it firsthand, and they're pumped. That's great. So, let's get into the questions I was able to ask. Now, they did say some of the answers would be a little vague because of the NDA, but they did their best to answer them, and I think they did an amazing job. All right. So the first question I asked was, how long have you been a fan of The Wheel of Time? Certainly over a decade, lightly looking at about 15 years since I first received Newspring from my dad. So that's quite some time. When did you first read the books? How long have you been part of the Wheel of Time community? So I was about 12 and I was given Newspring to keep me busy and out of trouble when my dad was deployed. Unfortunately, it didn't occur to me until I was an adult that there would be an entire online community of Wheel of Time fans. I really only joined the community online a couple of years ago now. And that's not unusual. I mean, the Wheel of Time family online is growing day by day. I wasn't part of this community at all until last fall. And I'm a super fan, so that's not unusual, I don't think, at all. So then I asked, how did you hear about and get involved in the production? They responded, I really have to give a shout out to Narg for being the best PI. With his sleuthing, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. I decided to start a reread around Christmas 2018 and discovered all of the Wheel of Time TV talk. From there I joined different Facebook groups, Twitter, and eventually Instagram. Then I discovered our wonderful Narg and all of the beautiful TV tidbits he had to share, to include all of the casting and production information. Yes, I was probably one of many fans that flooded poor KVH casting with an in-home casting video. The summer of 2019, our lovely Moraine and Potato Drid announced the very first European Wheel of Time fan meetup. I ended up booking a few extra days during the trip to check out the casting agency on a whim that I could at least sign up, and with the mentality of, if nothing happens, nothing was lost. And obviously something happened because they are now an extra in the show, so that's amazing. Great forethought there. How were you told you would be on set, and what were your thoughts when you found out you would be on set? It all started with a text message. I remember the first one I received was an offer to be a tinker, but unfortunately or fortunately, I was not chosen for that. Communication was either via text or the occasional phone call. Even with the first text, I found I was dumbfounded I'd even been contacted. When I was accepted for my eventual part, I I can fairly say I had a full-on geek out, which is, I would probably just collapse. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was offered even a small role like Villager number 3 shoveling hay in the background. I would just lose my mind. So I can understand that. So how was your first day, and what did you think when you first set foot on Amazon's production site? Now, their answer was a little bit different than I expected. Long. I'm used to working 12-hour shifts, but I think having so much unknown to me made it feel different. It was incredible. I could rant and rave about how Rafe and Sarah have done an amazing job pulling book scenes into real life, but I also want to highlight all of the crew behind the scenes creating or procuring all of these items and then setting the scene and making it real. I've always said that the cast is amazing, and the cast is what everyone sees, but the crew really does make a show. How were the people? Everyone I interacted with was so incredibly nice. Shout out to the Czech crew members who had to put up with the only speaks English extra and put up with me being lost all the time. I mean, going to another country and not being able to speak the language would be incredibly difficult, especially if you're doing a job that you're not used to. So that's amazing. Did you get to interact with any of the main cast, and how were they? This was a question I was super interested in the answer of. Yes, by stroke of pure luck, another extra and I ended up in a scene with Yosha and Barney, and they are just... I know now I could not imagine anyone else as Rand or Matt. Everyone was always so courteous and politely chatted here and there between setups. Yosha saw me reading one of the books during a break, and we got into talking about how far into the books he is. Keep reading, Yosha, it gets better. Awesome. So that's so cool that they could interact with some of the main cast in between sets and on set, and actually talk to them back and forth about the books. That's like a bucket list thing for me, at least anyway. Costumes and sets, how excited should we be? There was a lot of time and effort into the research, history, and creation of it all. I really feel as though a lot of care and thought has been put into the show, and I really hope the other fans will appreciate it. I'll also put this into a bit of perspective. At least one of the other extras started reading the series after we worked together, and they were able to figure out exactly what we were shooting. So that's really cool. Take from that what you will. Practical effects versus CGI. Did you see anything that makes you excited? I actually didn't see any CGI in the works behind the scenes, but I really enjoyed talking to crew members about how they are trying to use as many practical effects as possible so that everything is real for the viewers. I mean, I'm a huge fan of practical effects. This was a really great answer to this question for me, at least anyway. Then I asked, how much screen time would you say you have? Calculating after they stitch everything together, maybe 10 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. It's very strange to be spending the day filming a scene or two, but knowing it'll only last seconds to a minute on screen. Now, I knew this would be a hard one for them to answer because it's difficult to know how much they're going to use. I have a cousin of mine who's an actor. He could film all day and they would use none of his stuff. So it's a difficult question to ask. What type of character did you play? Now, I honestly didn't really expect an answer from this one, but we got one. Hopefully I'm allowed to say this. I'm a servant for the Aes Sedai, so that's super cool. This person is a servant for the Aes Sedai, so they are in a couple of different scenes with other Aes Sedai, which is really neat. How was the mood? Were there many super fans on set, or was it another day for the cast and crew? For the cast and crew, it was pretty much another day. After some of the extras found out I had read the series and was on a reread, they asked all sorts of questions and were very interested in reading the books. Some even started watching Daniel Green after I mentioned him. So there you go, Daniel. This extra got you some subs from the Czech Republic, so that's awesome. And while there may not have been many fans of Wheel of Time itself, I noticed on one or two occasions that there were large population scene fans of individual actors and actresses. So that's, again, take from that what you will, but really good answer to that question. Did you know more about the shots than your specific scenes? Sort of, a little bit. We would occasionally get to see the day schedule while getting ready for the day, and that would give us an overview of the scene being shot. And also having the background knowledge, I was quickly able to piece together what part of the book was being shot. So that's really cool. I mean, being a fan obviously had its advantages on set because they would know what scenes they were actually filming, which is neat. Then I said, is there anything else you can say about the production? And they say, not too much without getting in trouble, haha, but I want fans and fans of the fantasy genre to know that the production is phenomenal. I'm really quite excited to see the final product because the team at Amazon are really putting their heart and soul into this. Now that's right there. We've been talking about this for almost a year now, and we're all interested in how it's going to turn out. But if a fan that was on set is saying that they're really putting their all into this, that goes a long way to making me feel really good about this production. And then the last question I asked was, how do regular people get involved? I want to be an extra. And I really do. This was for me more than anything else, but I'm sure you guys would be interested as well. And the response was this: well, I know that there are at least 2 Czech casting agencies involved with providing extras to TV shows in the Czech Republic, one to Wheel of Time and Carnival Row, and a British casting agency involved with Wheel of Time, having talked to some of the other extras who are in from the UK. So unfortunately for non-European fans, that would mean some hefty travel to sign up in person. But you never know, maybe Season 2 will be filmed elsewhere. That's about what we expected. They're filming over there. My chances of being extra were pretty much dashed there because I can't fly to the Czech Republic on the off chance that I might get signed up. So that was all the questions that they were able to answer and that I was able to ask. And I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed the answers to the questions I was able to ask as much as I did. And I hope you get a lot out of this. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me here to the end, and here's to many more.